Hey friend, welcome to the Intentional Mind podcast. Today in the show, we're talking about one of my favorite things to talk about, which you probably already know what this is, and it's energy. I'm about to tell you a quote, and I want it to really sink in. I want you to really think about it. Here it is. If you want to intentionally design your life or your career, you must consider the role that energy plays in everything you create. You must consider this. You really got to think about where does your energy need to be for you to create the results that you want to create. Too many of us are prioritizing doing all of these things, thinking that if we hustle and we do this, or we say it in this certain way to this person, and we're kind of like tight gripping something, that then we'll create the result that we want. If we just get the right strategy, someone can just teach us that. And I want to just remind you that all of that, the doing, the right strategies, none of that matters if your energy sucks. None of it matters. You need to start off with the good energy. So I'm bringing it back to foundational things, basic things. I was teaching a class this morning. I was talking about delivery, and I was teaching how to deliver a presentation and do it in a way that's very engaging. And we were talking about energy. And I talked about how you really need to think about your energy before you show up in a situation to try to influence someone else. What kind of energy do you want to show up with? Because if you're trying to get someone to be excited about something, this could be being excited about hiring you. It could be being excited about working with you. It could be trying to get your family excited around helping out with the chores at the house. Like, it could be anything. We're all in the business of influence. Okay, we're always trying to influence other people. What kind of energy are you bringing to that? Because if you want someone to feel excited, you got to bring excited energy. So I see this a lot with my career switchers. In fact, I think that one of the things that makes me unique as a career coach is I don't just think about, oh, here's some strategies that you can use. Do your resume in this way, do that kind of stuff. I think about your energy, because that's the number one thing that holds people back from creating the results that they want. They think it's a strategy. They're always seeking that. Is there a certain way that I should be sending this email? Is there a certain resume hack that you have? Who should I be reaching out to? It's like, a lot of the times I'm bringing them back and being like, this is an energy thing that's happening that's preventing you from creating what it is that you want. Because maybe there's something deeper inside that's causing you to generate a certain kind of energy. Maybe you're trying to do this thing from a fear-based place, and that's showing up for you, and it's taking over. I have seen so many times where that has been the case, because let's be real, when someone is trying to transition their career, I want to dive into the specific area because I've been seeing this a lot. There's a lot of fear that shows up. And it could not even just be career. It could be anything new that you want to change in your life, you know? There can be fear that shows up with uncertainty. And it's really important that you show up in a way that makes you proud as you navigate that uncertainty. And there's certain things that you can say to yourself. There's certain things that you can do that will change your energy around it. Because I know this for me, when my energy is low around stuff, and when I feel like I have to try, I have to hustle, it's like I'm in this controlling energy. These don't tend to work out that well for me. But when I start to do the work where I ask myself a different question, and I get it so that I'm not showing up from a fear-based place around something, and I do that shift, that subtle shift, even if it's like I've been overwhelmed, I've been procrastinating, but I can get myself to be like, okay, what's one thing I can focus on to move forward? What's something I can do to make myself proud? I'm asking myself these questions that shift my energy. My energy can just go up, and then momentum picks up from there. I'm getting myself out of that stuck fear, confusion. Some of us are showing up that way. We're so confused, and like confusion is a catabolic energy. So unclear about what I want. I feel stuck. I feel overwhelmed. Like, that's all catabolic energy showing up. And it's really hard to create really good things in your life when you're resonating there. Is it a bad thing to be there? No, you're a human. We all go there. I go there every day. In fact, I was going there this morning when I was feeling stressed out, running around, trying to get my husband out the door with my son, before I did a presentation. And it was literally right before I did the presentation. I was feeling that stress. I was starting to show up from this catabolic place. But then I had to remember, it's like, I want to show up with the right kind of energy to this thing. So simple things you can do. So I got packed on the call and I was so grateful because another person was on the call who helps host these presentations. And we started chatting about mom stuff. I was laughing about, getting my husband out the door with my son. And we started talking about home improvement things. We were talking about lighthearted things. It shifted my energy. It was the exact thing I needed, a simple thing to help me feel excited to go into what I was going into. This is so important. Don't underestimate this. What is your ritual? What's your ritual to get your energy up before you do anything? For me, this morning, I do my cold plunge in the morning. Don't like it in there, but when I'm out, I feel really good. I feel really proud of myself. It's getting my coffee. What I've been doing is as soon as I wake up, I journal. As soon as I wake up. Before I even get my son out, I'm sitting there journaling, getting my mind right. I read a devotional, and then I do this little meditation, and then I go and get my son. And it just sets me up to have the right energy for what energy I bring to him. I want to be intentional like that. I want you to be intentional like that because you want people that you love to feel good. I know you do. And this requires you to have good energy. And you know why I'm so passionate about the career stuff? Keeping it real with you, because we spend so much of our time at work. And it's so much bigger than just the career. Because what happens is when you don't like what you do every day, your energy goes down. Like you don't show up as the best version of yourself. And it sucks. It sucks to think like, oh man, I'm living this life that this doesn't feel in alignment with me. This is not what I want to be doing. I don't get excited about this. And it's like, I'm counting down the hours of my day. What is this? I'm counting down the hours of my life. And then I'm coming home to my family. I'm shutting off my laptop. And I'm bringing this energy of like, I'm so exhausted. I'm just like dreading the next day. It's like, you don't want to show up that way to the people that you love. So what's really going on here? This is a sign that things are out of alignment. The energy is off here. What are we going to do about it? And the key here is to get your energy right. And then also when you create a vision from a high energy place. I've even seen where people will craft a vision around what it is they desire. See, some of my career coaching clients, they show up and they're like, I want to do this. And I'm like, I don't feel like you really want to do that. Like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not believing that. But it's like they've created this vision from this fear-based place. And they've rationalized and they've told themselves like, this is what I should be doing, or this is what my experience is in. So I've been doing this for so long. So I guess I just need to find something like this. And I can hear it. I can hear their brain, like, the wheels are turning where they're like rationalizing and saying I should. They're doing that stuff. That's a catabolic energy as well. It's pretty high in the catabolic range. So when I noticed that, I'm like, oh, even if you're showing up that way as you approach your career, your job search, catabolic energy is generating. You are going to be attracting things that align in that energetic space that you don't even want, that your best version of yourself doesn't want. So my work is to help you shift your energy in that space. Tell me what you want for real, from a higher energy place, from the person that believes that anything is possible for you, because anything is possible for you. The person who is so gifted and talented and meant to share those gifts with the world in a way that feels right to them. What would he or she want to be doing? What would she be doing if she was feeling good and lit up? The person that at the end of the workday came to her family and she had high energy, what would she be doing that caused her to feel so good when she did show up to the people that she loved? Because we don't want to be I don't want to be that mom. I can just say this. I don't want to be the mom that brings a crappy energy to my son. One of the greatest gifts I can give him is my joy and my happiness. Because then he feels good and that helps with his own brain and his own energy and what he goes on to create in the world. And I also want to shape how he sees work and how he sees money. It's something I've been really working on, is like training his brain, programming it. Because I want him to see work as something really enjoyable, as an opportunity to use the gifts God has given us in a way that feels good. I got to be an example of that. I want him to have an abundance mindset when it comes to money. I want him to see that, hey, I can take this money and I can invest it in this thing and it can lead to more things. I can use my creativity. I can offer value. And I'm blessed for that, not just financially, but in a lot of other ways. I feel good about what I'm doing. I want to show examples of that to him. So, you know what's been really motivating me and helping me with my energy, and to keep it real with you, help me get over my own shit? I'm just going to swear in this episode. You know what's helped me the most? It's my son. It's me thinking about being an example to him. You know, when I struggled trying to get these finance, taxes stuff done that I dread, that I have a lot of catabolic energy on and resistance, is I thought about what would make me proud of how I showed up. You know, it's one of my favorite coaching questions. And I also thought about, that led me to thinking about my son. So if I said, okay, it'd make me proud if I just did this, if I just finished it. And it would make me proud if I was an example to my son of what it looked like, instead of to avoid something that was uncomfortable for you, you leaned into it. You took responsibility. And you were intentional with your finances. You were intentional with your life. I want my son to see me trying to intentionally design my life, not just taking things as they are, like the rest of the general population does. You know, doing this thing where it's like these stories that people make up. It's just like, well, this is just how it is. You know, it's just, you get paid to do this thing, and that's how it is. You just, you know, it's like that kind of lower energy around stuff. No, like, you get to design the life that you want. Just because it's been that way doesn't mean it has to be continuing that way. Just because other people live their life that way doesn't need to be your standard of living. You know, it's so interesting because I'm thinking about my son and what school I want him to go to. And keep it fully real with you guys, one of the things that I'm struggling with in this space is the fact that I travel a lot. You know this if you listen to the show. My husband and I travel more than most people know. Like, most people do. And some people wonder how it's even possible, as much as like we are able to do things and still travel the way that we do. We just value it so much. So we prioritize it. We value new experiences. Now, I want to continue doing that in my life. I love that for my son. Like, he gets to see these new places, and he gets to just be surprised by the newness of life. I think it keeps our energy high. Anyways, going back to the school. You know, when it comes to schools, you show up and there's a set curriculum, and it's expected in a lot of schools that you are there a lot of the time. You know, so there's not much time off. So one of the programs I was interested in had talked about how there's only 8 days that you can take off the entire year. And I was like, what? Like, sometimes we have 8-day vacations, you know, or more than that. Like, how is that going to work? So it's got me thinking, y'all, because I think about my vision of my life and what I want for my life. And yes, everyone, generally speaking, follows that system and that model. But for me, I'm like, one of the things I value the most is adventure and experiences. Does that model align with who I want to be as a parent, or what I desire for my son? Probably not. So what are opportunities? What are other options? And as I've been starting to look, I actually see a lot of other options that do align with my vision and my values. I'm telling you this because when it comes to your work, if there are things that are really out of alignment with your values, and you know that they are when you feel down, when you feel like you can feel that energetic shift down when you like step into an environment, usually it's because you have values of yours that are being challenged on the regular. I want you to get clear about what those things are and what would it look like to honor those more. Sometimes it's a conversation. Sometimes it's just simply talking to people about adjusting hours. Sometimes it's about just talking about doing your work in a different way that would align with more of, like, for me, the kind of mom that I'd want to be. I remember a long time ago, I had a staff member who I loved her. And she never mentioned this until we started getting closer, where it was more like we were friends. But she had, because of her work hours, she ended up having to pay more at daycare. And she already didn't get paid very well. And what happened was, because of our hours, it was just like this 5-minute thing. It caused it so every day she was pretty much penalized with the daycare and had to pay more. And instead of actually telling us this, she just let it continue on. It's like, oh, well, those are the hours I have to work, you know. But then when we actually became friends, we started talking about stuff. I realized that this was a space that was generating a lot of catabolic energy for her, and actually costing her financially. And it didn't need to be that way. So we had this conversation, and we adjusted her hours so she could start earlier. She was already there anyways. She just wouldn't clock in. so she could start earlier and then she could get out earlier. And that was more in alignment with the kind of mom she wanted to be. She didn't want to be the mom that always picked up her kid late at work, at the daycare. Right? So, and it changed her even financially and improved that area of her finances for her. It actually saved her a lot of money. So these are things that are simple. Like you can have a conversation and change how you feel about something. I have over the years helped so many of my career coaching clients do this. I've had a lot that have come to me and actually wanted to completely change their career. And then we started talking about this and we realized, oh, this is the thing that's generating most of the catabolic energy. What if we started targeting that first? And sometimes it's like I teach them how to have this conversation around it, how to bring different energy around that situation. And then they start to feel good in that situation. Some people actually change things to the point that they realize maybe they didn't even want to get rid of their job. They just wanted to change it in a certain way to live more in alignment with their vision and their values and who they wanted to be. And they were able to do that. And then their energy shifted and they felt excited about life. Some of them needed to do that for the time being. Like we changed something just to make their energy be higher while they're there. But then we worked on them creating the next thing for themselves. But you know what was cool is they did it from a higher energy place. They weren't doing it anymore from the lower energy place because we're working on getting the energy higher with where they are right now. I always say this, you want all your good buys to be good buys. Meaning like we want to get our energy higher before we step out. Not just run away from stuff. Not just avoid stuff. That's what a lot of us are doing. That's not going to serve you energetically. How can we shift the energy of where we are? Maybe sometimes it's like forgiveness around things, seeing things in another way so that our energy feels better, telling ourselves another story so we feel better. Because what's really important is how we feel in the situation, our energy, because we're going to take that wherever we go. We're going to take it home with our family. We're going to take it to our next job. We're going to take it everywhere we go. There's days where I feel like my energy is so high. And I'm like, I'm just vibing, I'm just feeling good. I'm not attached to anything. There's these days where I don't feel like I need anything. I'm like, I don't need this talk. I don't need this job. I just feel good. I feel good with where I am. I feel grateful. I feel excited. That is when I create the most abundance in my life. Opportunities come my way that I didn't even apply for. And I see this with my coaching clients. I've had clients that have worked with other coaches for years. I'm not even kidding. They've worked with other coaches for years. And then they get shifted to me and they're like, good luck with this person. This is when I used to do more coaching in different organizations. They'd be like, good luck with that person. I've been working with them for a long time and nothing's budging. And what I would do is work with that person on their energy. And you would see such a difference in all of a sudden this person that didn't have any opportunities would have an abundance of opportunities. And it wasn't because usually what's interesting is usually these people, it's not that they're not doing the work. In fact, a lot of times these people were doing a lot of the work. Like they were constantly implementing the strategies we were teaching, but they were not working on their energy. So this is the thing I want to drive home. If you're not creating the results you want, I do believe it's related to energy. I really do. And I've seen that in my own life. I'm always thinking about, okay, what do I got to do with my energy to like shift some things around? So I want you to be thinking about that. With that said, I said this on the last episode. I am interviewing people that are so kind enough to give me their time to share some insights with me around career transition. I'm designing a course it's a program that I'm actually designing to help people intentionally design their careers, whether that involves making a shift very intentionally or changing things as where they are so that they can get more in alignment, so they can live more in alignment with their values and their vision of who they want to be, so they can start showing up and designing life they really want, that they're not going to regret later on. What I'm looking for is people who are feeling unfulfilled in what they're doing, or they know they're out of alignment, something's off here. I would like to interview them so I can make sure I design this course very intentionally. This is not to sell anything. I don't have anything to sell right now. This is just meant for me to gain insight and then also exchange insight while I'm on the call while I can with the wisdom I have. If you feel like that's something that you want to be part of, I know some of you already on the show have reached out to me about that, and I'm so grateful. In particular, what I'm doing is I'm looking for people who, it'd be cool if you were in more of a, I would say mid-career range, like 30 to 50, somewhere in that range, where you're most likely a high achiever, you have done well in your career, but you know that what's currently happening is not in alignment for you. and you're considering making a switch. Maybe there's the fear that's showing up around it, or lack of clarity, confusion. There's some catabolic stuff showing up. That is the person ideally I would love to talk to. So if you feel like that is you, I will put a link into the detail section of this episode where you actually can just go ahead and schedule a time to chat with me. And again, I don't have anything to sell you. So there's not like I'm going to put you on the call and try to be all like sneaky and sell you something. One, I don't show up that way. I genuinely want to design this in the right way. Why am I going back to this stuff? Because, I've been helping a lot of people in a lot of ways. I help people write their TED Talks. I help them learn these presentation skills. I help other speakers, and I still have my career coaching clients that I'm working with. But I have been so drawn to this space because it just hurts my heart so much that people take things as they are, when it comes to our careers and stuff, when it's such a big part of our life. And I just believe that you are gifted in a way to really do work in a way that feels good to you. And you have the power to design a career that you really love. Why? So you can have a life that you really love. Because it does matter. Are you going to love every single thing that you do all day? Of course not. Even when in fact, side note, I have a client right now whose TEDx talk is actually about this concept of how you can dread doing work you love at times. It's like, I'm like, sigh. I'm like, yes, you can. You totally can. But it's like, you got to work through that. Because even for me, sometimes when I'm doing a presentation, I love speaking. I love this stuff. But there's definitely moments where I'm like, even just feeling like dreading the pressure sometimes that I can feel to show up well, and just I'm preparing for a presentation even coming up, and I feel dread around that because I'm like, I want to get this right, and I can start to see my energy shifting to catabolic place, and then I have to do the realignment and be like, no, the goal here is to have fun. The goal here is to really think about your art. It's like, I got to do the shifting work in myself. But my point is, so let's just say there is possibility you can dread the work that you love. But we're talking about when it's constant. Like, this is when it's an issue, is when it's like constantly you feel out of alignment. Constantly you feel like you're just dreading what you're doing. You're counting down the hours. That's when it's like too much catabolic energy. Catabolic energy in your life can be really healthy. That shows you're a human. You can be scared when you're stepping out. Fear will show up as you continue to grow. That's normal. You're not going to live a life without catabolic energy. No, but if you're constantly generating it too much, there's an issue and we need to talk about it. Because I don't think that's how you're meant to live. And it makes me sad because, especially since I've become a mom, I'm like, it breaks my heart to think that other moms, dads, family members are out there and they're bringing energy that affects the people that they love, showing up in ways that has a domino effect on the people around you because they're in positions that are not in alignment with them and they're not doing the work to intentionally design your life. Is it worth it to do that? Heck yeah, it is. And I think about this around even, man, like if you, how do I even say this in the right way? It's when it comes to your career, if you're working a lot, like most of us do, such a big chunk of our life. And some people will be like, I don't want to invest in, having someone help me with this space. But you act like it's just that one thing that it has an impact on. It doesn't. It has an impact on you, how you feel about your life. You don't want a life of regret. It has an impact on your family. It's bigger than just the freaking career. It's so much bigger. It's about how you show up in your life and making yourself proud. Don't freaking settle. I know there's a lot of people out there that you see that do settle, that live this lie that this is how it's supposed to be. And I can't get paid really well to do the things that I love. I call BS on that because I have seen so many people over the years do that. Be intentional about designing their career. And it's like, there's always a way. There's always a way. If you're willing to go after it, to put in the work to go after it. And some people just aren't. But you know what? I'm going to do that because this is what I realized. You can be uncomfortable living the life that you don't want, or you can be uncomfortable going after the life that you want. Either way, it's all uncomfortable. Which discomfort are you going to choose? I'd rather be uncomfortable going after what I want than living this life where I constantly feel out of alignment, where I'm constantly drained, where I'm not proud of how I show up in my body and how I'm taking care of myself, or I'm not proud of how I'm being as a mom or a wife or whatever role. Like, I want to be proud of how I show up. And that requires you to, and I know you do too, but this requires you to get your energy right as you move forward, to think about what do I even mean by that? Like, how do you do that? First off, there's going to be some work around thinking about what is draining your energy. That's a big part of my career transition process with people, is like, let's take a really good look at this. What is it exactly that drains your energy? You need to do an energy audit for real. Like, you need to be thinking about these things that I'm doing. This is the biggest drain of my energy, even in your household. I just did this recently with my coach. One of the things that I told her that really drains my energy is like thinking about always having to go to the grocery store and get all the groceries, and getting my son in the car, and having to shop with him and unpack the groceries and all the things. And somebody might just be like, okay, yeah, just like do the curbside or have a delivery. Like, I live in a rural area. I think you can do actually the pickup. But anyways, side note, so I'm kind of making maybe some excuses here. But my point is, I just realized that this was an area that was really draining my energy. So what did I do with this? I realized, I'm like, well, why don't I just ask my husband to get the groceries on his way home from work? This is so simple. He gets the groceries. I literally text him a list and he runs in and gets the groceries. That is easy to do. Or, I could do the online and then the pickup thing. I could even make that easier on him if I did that. But it was just a simple thing that made such a difference in my energy, because it was a thing that was draining it. And sometimes it's something that you're doing with work and stuff that is so small and simple that could be a shift for you. What if you just fix that one thing? Your energy could change significantly. I've been an advocate of things. I've done this. Oh man, I remember a long time ago when I used to get so distracted. We used to have these offices where they were like a co-working space. And I have ADD. So if you're doing something, tapping a pencil, talking to someone, I will be easily distracted by that. It'll be hard for me to focus. I started noticing that was really affecting my productivity at work. So I ended up talking to my boss about it. And I was like, this is very distracting to me. And I proposed the idea that I could leave and I could go work at a coffee shop and I would be more productive. And I proposed it in a way that made her want to do it. Because I said, like, can we just try it out? I know it's not typical that we do this, but like, let's just try it out. See how it works out. You let me know if you feel like I'm getting the things done that I need to get done. Like, this was me advocating for the life that I want. And it ended up happening. But I want you to think about this. Are you advocating for the life that you want? Are you designing the life you want? Are you just taking it as it is? So many areas you can think about this. Man, I even think about this as like, let's say someone brings me the wrong meal. They make my coffee wrong. Let's say I go to a coffee shop and they put regular milk in it instead of my coconut or my almond milk. And the old me would have been like, oh, I don't say anything. I don't want to like seem like that person that's difficult. But the new me is like, I'm designing the life I want. And I can say this in a very nice way so that I get the coffee that I want. It's like so many areas of our lives, we're not advocating for what it is we want. Even in our healthcare, I was just talking to someone else about this. You don't want to seem like the difficult, weird person and always asking to dive deeper into something, but it's like stop doing that. Stop making it all about what other people are thinking about you. I told my husband this the other day. It's important. Well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to pull up my text message right now because I texted him this and I want to tell you what it is. So I said to him, I'm proud of you, by the way, for being so persistent and listening to your intuition. When you do that, you tend to be right. Good example is the shower door. When we were designing our shower, y'all, my husband, he's so intentional about things around design of things. He's a dentist, so he's very particular about and he's a great dentist. And I'm not just saying that because he's my husband. He does very good quality work because he's obsessive. I know him like that, So anyways, when he's designing something in our homes, like with our property investing business and our shower, he's very intentional about thinking about, okay, how am I going to feel when I'm in here, when I open the shower door? And he wanted our shower door designed in a way that it opened in a certain direction that most people would think is that's not normal, but it was so much better at how you felt when you opened it, and it made more sense in our minds. But when he communicated this to other people, the people that were building the shower, and he got several different opinions, and they all said, what? You want to open it that way? That's weird. Normally it doesn't open that way. And so anyways, he was stuck, listening to them, just going back and forth. And then finally he listened to himself. He's like, no, I want to open this way. And now that we have this shower, he's like, I'm so glad that I decided to have it designed this way because this works better for me and my energy. Could you imagine if it was designed the other way? And I was like, yeah, it wouldn't have flowed, would have been like trapped in the space. And it's like, so I always remind him that I say, trust yourself. Because sometimes he's always seeking advice outside of himself. And it's like, come back to like, remember the shower door? Remember when you trust yourself, what happened? We tend to get pretty good results when we trust our intuition and we pay attention. So I told him that, remember the shower door? Let me go on to the rest of the text message. And I said, remember, it takes courage to design the life you want. You'll always be disappointing people along the way. Just make sure that person isn't you. For real, right? Because the top regret of the dying is what? I wish I would have had the courage to live life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. When you go out and you advocate for the life that you want, and you intentionally design your life or your career, there's going to be people that are disappointed. You know, even like when you're a really good employee, people are very disappointed to lose you when you decide to move into the next thing. But just make sure that you're not living a life where you're the one that's always disappointed in how you're showing up. You know, you're putting yourself on the back burner. You're not advocating for what it is you truly want. You're not thinking about how to get your energy in the space where you feel good so you can show up good with no regrets and you can show up best for the people that you love. When you're thinking about yourself that way, this is not just a selfish thing, because one of the biggest motivators for me is what? Being the best example to my son. So it's not just a selfish thing. But I want you to really think about when it comes to if you got to disappoint someone, is it always going to be you? Are you going to keep doing that where it's always you? Because remember, when a people pleaser passes, what flashes before their eyes? Not their life, the life that somebody else wanted for them. It takes courage to design the life you want. It really does. So I'm going to leave you with that. I want you to think about this. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Let me know if you did. Let me know if you know someone. Tell them if you know somebody who you think would be a good person for me to get some insights from and to also help in the process. It's an exchange of insights. That's my goal, is to also help out on the phone as well. I'm going to listen, and I'm also going to provide something that's helpful. You can get them to schedule on the link that's in the details section. You can always shoot me an email. If there's times that don't work well, just send me a message and be like, Ange, I want to be a part of this, but it looks like these times won't work. Here's some ideas around times that could work. Email me. I'm going to put my email in the details section of the episode as well. I am doing this. I want to interview 50 people. So that's a lot. So just message me anyways. And I'm happy to go over that because I really want to design this very intentionally. So don't feel like you've missed the time or anything. You can always reach out and just see if it's a good time whenever you hear this message. All right. Have a blessed and amazing day. Thinking about you being the person who has the courage to design the life that they want. It takes courage. It even takes courage to invest in something and to bet on yourself. All of it is going to take courage. It's going to take courage to have the conversation, right? All the things. Courage. The bold version of yourself. You need that person to show up for you to design a life that you're really proud of. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.